here coming to you from the City of Angels, literally. And here's an angel right here. But I had the most beautiful experience tonight that I just have to share with you. God blessed me with the opportunity to help somebody in need who has no means of repaying me. Not that I want her to at all, but to really be a good Samaritan and do a good deed for somebody and for God, to really serve God by serving another, because after all, Jesus, whom I follow in his footsteps and whom is my Savior and whom I believe in, he came to serve and not to be served. And so therefore, that's what we're called to do as his followers. Well, anyway, I was going to make a video about this because my younger daughter, had her cheerleading game tonight, and I was all excited to go all day long. I'm like, oh, I'm going to see my daughters. We're going to go to the cheerleading game. It was at 7. Usually they're at 6 or earlier. And I'm like, it's going to be so much fun. And then she just decided that she didn't want me to go. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't want me to go? I'm like, why wouldn't you want me to go? I just don't want you to go. You're going to go to the Super Bowl, because her team got into the Super Bowl, not the real Super Bowl in January, but the Super Bowl for their league, because they won 6 out of 7 games. So they're going to be in the Super Bowl at a big stadium in LA that my daughters have danced at already with their previous dance company. Anyway, so she's like, you're going to go to the Super Bowl. I'm like, but I want to go today. Well, Mom, I just don't want you to go. And I was like, I respected her wishes and I accepted it. I said, okay. I told my older daughter, I said, I'm just going to make some videos tonight. She's like, okay, Mom. So they went, and I thought, well, what am I going to do? Here's my exciting, I was going to make a video about this, but I thought it'd be too boring. I thought my exciting Saturday night is that I'm going to Vallarta, which is the supermarket across the way, a block over, to get some carrots and dog food. That's the greatest excitement of my night, or so I thought. So I went in, I got 2 bags of carrots and the dog food, really healthy food for Tucker. And then I always go through the self-checkout because it's faster. Not that I'm an impatient person and I don't mind waiting, but I just, I'm always in a hurry. I always do it on the go. So I always just go at Target or wherever I'm at. If I go to Walmart or any place, except for like a drugstore or something, then I go to the line. Well, I was going to go to the checkout, the self-checkout, but there was a line open, number 2 or whatever, that barely had any people, just had 2 people. I said, oh, go there, because I had a grapefruit too that I was going to get. And then you have to weigh it and put the code. I'm like, anyway, so I'm standing in line and it's taking really long. This man, I don't know if he paid with I don't know. She had to get change for 100, and she called the manager over. You know how that goes. And then it took a long time, and then he came over and gave her some cash, and then he left, and then came back. And I thought, and I did. I'll admit, I'm a very patient person. It takes a lot. I really don't even get impatient about anything. I really don't. Being unjustly separated from my daughters for 7.5 years, almost 8 years, I'm patiently waiting for them to come home, and I've just got a ton of patience, thanks be to God. But I have to say, I was just thinking to myself, standing there, trying to figure out what's going on. I thought, I came in this line because I thought it would be shorter. Why is it taking so long? And I looked at the back of this man's shirt. It was in Spanish, but I thought it said, wait for the Lord, or wait or something. And I felt like God spoke to my heart at that moment and said, yep, wait for it, Jennifer, wait for it. You'll see why you're in this line and why it's taking you so long. Okay, Lord, I'm so sorry for being a little bit tad impatient, and I'm sorry. I'm going to wait for it and see how you're going to bless me or whatever. So I'm walking out. A couple people smiled at me. That's a blessing. I smiled back at them. And then I'm walking to my car, and I see this lady about 75 years old. She puts her hand on her trunk and she goes, oh my gosh. She's like, I can't believe it. I locked my purse in my car in the trunk with my keys in it, and I don't know what I'm going to do. And I'm just standing there thinking, okay, there's got to be something that she can do and something that I can do to help her, because there must be this is what I was waiting for. This is why God said, wait for it. And I'm thinking, and I'm like, well, and then she's like, well, I have AAA, but my card is and my phone is in the car. And I'm like, okay, well, do you want to use my phone? She's like, thank you so much, Miss. And everybody's calling me Miss all of a sudden. I don't know, 50, but they call me Miss, which is a compliment. So I said, sure. So, and then she asked me if I could talk to them to explain it, because she speaks very good English, but she felt like she didn't speak good enough English. So I explained to them, that her keys are in the trunk with her phone. And as it turns out, there was no way for them to get into the trunk from the car, or to get into the car and put the seat down. So they said it would be a lot. They'd have to send a locksmith tomorrow, because the locksmith was busy, and she gets covered for $150, but after that she would have to pay. Well, it turns out the locksmith was going to be $250, and she said she couldn't afford that. So I hang up, and she's like, thank you very much, Miss. Thank you. God bless you. But I'm just going to take the bus. And well, before she said that, I said, oh, I'll take you. And she says, no, I live too far. I live off Sherman Way in Zelza. It's very far for you. I said, I don't mind. But then afterwards, she goes, no, I'm just going to take the bus. And I felt so bad, because, I felt like, maybe she wanted me to take her, but she didn't want to be an imposition to me or something. And so I said, yeah, but it's going to take you a long time to get the bus. I said, I really don't mind. I have nothing to do. My daughters are busy tonight. And she goes, really? Are you sure? I said, yeah, I'm sure. So she's like, thank you so much. God bless you. So she's like, I think my husband's going to be home. So anyway, I drove her, and it wasn't that far, but I don't care. I had nothing to do anyway. And I felt so good to be able to help somebody in need. It's a great feeling when you help people. It really, really is. It lets you know that you're on the right track, baby, like Lady Gaga says, and you're doing God's will, and you're exactly where you're supposed to be right at that moment at the exact time. Because this has happened to me quite a bit. Hasn't happened in a while, but when I was at my Optimal Health before, it would happen all the time, and I would let strangers in my car. I'm not saying that you should do that unless you can really trust them and all of that, but I've helped people out like that. Well, anyway, we're driving, and I finally asked her name. She told me her name and her last name, and I told her my name, and she said, this is a beautiful name. I said, you too. And she kept saying, God bless you. I said, God bless you too. And then she goes, you're an angel. I said, well, no. I said, I like to help people whenever I can. And she's like, thank you. And it turns out she goes to my church that I used to go to down the street. And anyway, to make a long story short, I took her she didn't have the clicker for her gate. Her car's been robbed several times. She told me that, she works one job, and then she has like not enough time. She goes, not enough time to eat exactly to the other job. She didn't get a break today. She worked for 8 hours. The lady never gave her a break, which I said is illegal. And she's like, I know, but she didn't get a break, and she didn't get to eat, and she said, I'm not feeling well. I mean, I just felt so horrible for her. But what a lady and the lady she was. And she says, she says, I think we give what we get, what we give. And she says, when we give, God blesses us 100%. Excuse me. And she's like, I said, absolutely. And so it was just a real big blessing. And she said to me, she says, I don't have the clicker, but we'll just wait for somebody to come out the gate. And wouldn't you know, just as we pulled up to her gate, there was a lady walking out. And I called out. I said, can you hold the gate, please? Can you wait? I said, we have a little emergency. She goes, absolutely. No, you're good. No problem, or whatever. So she held the gate. My new friend, Beatrice, goes running in. She goes, I'll be right back, and I'll tell you if my husband's home, because last night he went to play pool, and she didn't know if he'd be home or not. So she goes running in, and then she asked me for my phone number in case somebody needed me to explain to somebody what happened. And I said, sure. So I'd given her my phone number. Well, I waited about 5 minutes, and then she called me and told me, it's her and everything, and her husband's home. And she said, thank you so much, Miss Jennifer. God bless you. God bless you. I said, God bless you too. I said, so you're good to go from here? She's like, yes. I said, okay, thank you. But I just had to share that story, not to say, oh, look at me. I helped somebody. I'm such a good person. No, to inspire you to know that it's not an imposition to help somebody ever. It really isn't. It's really a blessing from God to be able to help somebody in need. Like I said, especially when they don't have the means to pay you back, that's even more of a blessing, and that even makes you feel better. For me anyway, it's one of the best feelings in the world to help somebody. And then I thought